Hey guys, and welcome back to a Factorio Friday Facts discussion. I'm joined again by Scarhoof.
What's up, everyone?
What's up? This is exciting, guys. We got cliffs. We have some sort of, well, a kind of height. It's not actually. There's still not. We'll get into it. It's still really cool though. This is all about the terrain and some changes that have been made for 0.16, and this is super exciting. Like, I was wondering why 0.16 is taking so damn long to do, and I was wondering if they were working on some stuff they haven't let on yet, and this would be one of the things. We knew they were redoing terrain and stuff, but there was never any mention of any sort of like cliff or valley or anything. And now we get into this. So I suppose we can just start at the top here. This is just like a little bit of a rewind. So several months ago, Dan half-jokingly mentioned that what Factorio really needed was mountains and cliffs. This was also suggested many times. Albert immediately got very excited and started having some discussion about how to make it happen. Well, this alone is incredibly true. Like, I would say almost every Factorio player would love to have some sort of like even like height, even if it's not real height, just like visually. Yep. I mean,
I'm already looking forward to like restriction type maps, things like that. Having to build around the terrain. I know that's a lot of there was a lot of backlash when landfill was put into the game.
Yeah,
because people didn't like the ability to change things. And I know like Zisto and even I've had some games where it's like, okay, I'm allowed to use landfill, but only in certain situations, kind of things, because otherwise sometimes it just gets too easy, right?
Yeah.
But having cliffs means you can't do anything with it. Like, you're stuck.
Well, mostly.
Yeah.
As we get farther down, we'll see. But yeah, it's the challenge to it is one thing, but then on top of that, just like visually, it adds so much to the map. Factorio it's about automation. It's not about oh, look, a pretty
visuals
world
and pretty stuff. Yeah,
but it adds so much to the game. Like, even if you're focusing on your factory, just like imagine having like part of your factory like nestled between these cliffs and stuff. It's like, it just makes a huge difference. So fast forward a few months, and Ernestus, which I think is their main like new terrain guy, had some cliff graphics that looked really nice when layered onto pretty much any type of terrain. Fast forward a few more months again, and add a few more months of programming, polishing, and cliffs are almost done, so we'll be showing them today. The cliffs, together with other map changes, which is a previous Friday Facts not too long ago, should make the map look much more diverse and interesting compared to 0.15. Hopefully it will make exploration more fun, since we'll be finding more diverse and unique areas in the world. So, this is kind of this short paragraph is important, that since cliffs block your path, they can affect gameplay significantly. To make this not make this annoying, cliffs are never too long and often have gaps. We tried to balance the length so they will be long enough to create interesting combat situations, or with the modification serve as natural wall against the biters, but as long as they block your path when you but so long that they block your path when you want to go somewhere. Cliffs will also not appear in the starting area to give you plenty of starting area. Finally, in Factorio, nothing should stand in the way of automation, so if you don't like cliffs, you can always blow them up using a new mid-game item called Cliff Explosives. Now, this is interesting. I don't know. What do you think of this, the explosives part?
I would love to have a way to disable those in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
For challenge maps, I think it would be really kind of cool to have an option to turn on and off landfill and cliff explosions. Two little click boxes. I think most casual players want to have that there, but for certain challenge maps, I'd love to have those restrictions.
Yep. I completely agree. And to add on to that, I think first off, I really hope they give it a better name, because I mean, like, come on, like at least call it like high explosives, or like something like that.
Maybe give them another option or something like that. High explosive landmines, maybe.
Yeah, or something that seems realistic. I mean, like when is there ever a thing that's just called like cliff explosives? It seems a little bit ridiculous to me. So I hope they give it a better, more realistic name. That's a tiny little gripe. However, another thing I saw in the forum discussion, I think it is important to have some way to get rid of them, because otherwise it would make it absolute hell to build like any large
Oh, yeah.
factory, right? But
Yeah.
a suggestion some people made, which I think would actually be better than explosives, is not that huge of a deal, is that to actually have some way to like mine them away rather than just like set an explosive in the whole thing. Because what it's going to be like, based on my understanding, is that you just like throw an explosive at it or set the explosive there, and it just, you know, does an explosive animation, and then the whole cliff is gone. It's
okay.
I think. I mean, that's my impression. If people
if they're gonna
suggested,
give us that, can they give us the ability to blow up ore patches too?
yeah, seriously, like that would be
Like,
great.
just for aesthetics. Just make that copper patch go away.
Mm-hmm. So the interesting thing, like, is
They call it landscape explosives, and then they can blow up any part of the landscape that you don't want.
yeah, that would be cool, huh? But anyway,
Send your checks my way, folks.
yeah. But basically, the idea that was suggested by people in the discussion is to have some way to mine them away, you know, slowly, like not, you know, have some like machine or something or entity or something that will just like slowly mine away at them. Which I think is an option. We'll see what comes in the future. I mean, heck, there may be mods for it. Because the way these are designed, as we go farther down, is they're actually entities. There's not actually height still in the game, and it's explained farther down. So if they're entities, I would imagine that would mean there could be a mod made that is like, you know, it mines it away, and you know, if it can be exploded, I imagine it has some sort of health or something. So maybe there could be a mod. But anyway, so essentially graphics, this is by Albert, the graphics guy. Map generation is hard made because it is procedurally generated. That means the computer is mixing all pieces to create the terrain on the fly. This leads the artist to a very difficult situation because it's very hard to guess in which conditions the tile sets will be used. So Factorio 0.1 terrain.
So beautiful.
Yikes. Yeah, this is like, when I first saw this, I thought it was one of their like diagrams of like the program, like the code or something. I was like, what is this? This was actually the terrain initially. But yeah, so with very basic rules, mainly clusters of 32 pixel tiles, but obviously that wasn't enough. Factorio 0.3 terrain, which for being that long ago doesn't look bad.
No.
So with better looking tiles, transitions from one terrain to another in variation tiles, terrains look much better. This technique was a pain for the artist to generate an interesting and detailed tile set. Now in 0.12, you know, which is not too far back, they use a new technique. Instead of having only variations of 32 pixel tiles, we produce a tile set with different sizes, 32, 64, 128, and 256, in order to break this squarey sense of grid and even being able to render more details in bigger sized tiles. So it looks more natural. You know, the tile grid is almost gone, and we start spreading new concepts for us, the doodads. These are little sprites of plants and rocks randomly spread throughout the map in order to provide more variability. You know, and then 0.15, where we're at now, things are getting better. The doodads were optimized, and we're able to place much more of them, creating more interesting pattern and mixtures. It is also worth to mention the introduction of high resolution graphics does a lot to help the look of the train, which is definitely true.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now in 0.16. So after all the iterations, there's some new concepts. The decals, which are quote unquote just doodads but ground related. Decals are meant to generate new accents and are, I think, supposed to be
Accidents.
train accidents and details without being oppressed by the rules. So essentially, you can see here that this is the decals are just, I think, like the little darker parts, maybe.
Yeah, either the darker parts or the lighter parts, or maybe both. Like right in the center, just below those rocks, you can see like a divot out.
Okay.
I'm guessing that's what that is.
Right. And then these rock things, I don't know if that's part of it too. Like, these rocks don't really look like something you can actually mine necessarily, some of them. So maybe those are kind of like doodads as well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I have to add that the good and fast work of Ernest as our environmental artist made possible evolution for this new state of terrain. Now with our new techniques, the creation of a new tile set is very smooth. And now we go down to the important part. Even with all the improvements, terrain still looks too flat. So another addition to 0.16 are the cliffs. Finally, we can break the flatness of Factorio's surface without having to change the mechanics of the game. All right, you ready for this, guys? I was looking at this on my phone at work, And I was just like standing there staring at my phone for like 3 minutes, just like looking at this picture. Check this out.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my
So
gosh.
awesome.
It's so cool. Like, the new feature can add a bit to the fun of designing Factorio by taking advantage of the top topology of the map. So you can see, like, I mean, there's cliffs. I mean, even though it's not technically height, it sure as heck looks like it.
Yep.
And
I'm guessing the biters wouldn't be able to make it up there either, too. So that's really cool.
Well, exactly. And well, you can see here, like with the laser turrets, that picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're shooting down the enemies like from this high ground, and the rails running through, and it's like, man, this looks so cool.
Yeah.
And then we go farther down, or can lead to combat to more interesting situations. So you can see here,
he's backed into a valley.
Yeah. He's backed himself in, but it's like, this is so darn cool.
Mm-hmm.
There are more additions to the training. We'll dedicate more time to this subject in future posts. However, so a few things to address. Like,
my first question: are we going to get tunnels?
And that was a lot of people's questions, and that the answers I saw were that no, because it's not height. Like, this is one of the things I was about to bring up. Is it's like it's really confusing to my brain. It's like there's not height. Like, it's explained in the programming section down at the bottom that there has not been height added to the game. These are literally just entities,
invisible barriers.
Yeah,
right?
Invisible barriers. But it's like, how is there not height? Because, like, I mean, the I don't like the turrets and the person are like higher, and
well,
then
think of them more as walls that with really fancy graphics that meld into the terrain. That's really all they are. So they're unbreakable walls.
Right.
But like you could totally have a tunnel there and have the train just kind of disappear and then reappear on the other side.
Well, right, exactly.
I mean, ideally, I would love to have a tunnel that actually just goes underground. That way you don't have to have like the ridiculous, you can always just have like, you know, T-junctions with trains going underground and stuff and totally bypassing it.
Yeah.
Is basically just a visual kind of a thing. But like, you know, they could have it so that you have to go in to the underground and you have to come out of another, you know, another wall too.
Right.
So, or another cliff.
That's true. I feel like that would be probably.
I think it would be a really cool thing to add to the game. But...
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like, well, but so what gets it still gets me, right? Is like on the first picture that shows the cliffs where there's like nothing else except the cliffs. Is it's like you can see on this bottom left corner there's like a part where you can actually go up it, like a ramp. Like, how is that not height? Like, I don't, because my brain just can't wrap, because I know it's walls, I know there's no height, but it's like the part behind the actual cliff face looks raised. Is that just like really fancy graphic work?
Oh yeah, that's just really fancy graphics work.
Okay.
They're just tricking your brain, but I mean, if you just kind of like maybe cross your eyes a little bit and just imagine those as being walls.
I see now.
That's all it is. That's how the game is.
Okay. Yeah.
Or, you know, calculating them in the background.
I do see. Yeah. It's the whole train is flat and these are just sticking up, but making it look. Okay. So,
which of course just goes to show you how great the graphics department is, that it makes you think that that's a you know, either raised mesas or a lowered valley.
Oh yeah, like it's really impressive. So going into the programming, because this, well, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but part of it, I'm trying to find the part that they explain why they chose to do it this way instead of. Okay, so here it is. It's like the second paragraph. So we had some thoughts about making them tiles or even a new kind of terrain layer, but in the end decided the simplest way forward was to make the cliff entities. The cliff entity prototype has some smart logic in it about how all the different cliff orientations work, and that if a cliff gets destroyed, its neighbors need to be fixed. There are some special cases about how they interact with projectiles, but for the most part, cliffs just act as walls. So just to kind of confirm that that is the case. Other aspect of cliffs is how to generate them on the map, since we already have an elevation function, but is that like not height?
That exists. Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, that's something I think they talked about in a fairly recent Friday Facts. It's like if they have an elevation function, why would they not just have it actually be a height? Like make it a different elevation.
So if you go to that, that's for Friday Facts 207, which is the Lua noise specification, when they were talking about how they're going to redo
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. I'm just kind of browsing through this. I don't think I need to read the whole thing. Yeah, the first approach I took was to look at the change in elevation on each side of each 4x4 tile, the size of one cliff segment. If an edge crossed a certain elevation was steep enough, then we'd say that edge crossed a cliff. And then there was somewhere that mentioned that, like, so to not create problems, they would have a cliff like take up an entire chunk, like when it's generated.
At the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, the last paragraph.
Chunks are off limits to the edge since they have to match whatever cliffs are generated. Okay, I see that last paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah, so if it finds that it's built up too much, then it will go through and remove cliffs until no cell has more than 2 cliff crossings.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else you're seeing in this programming part that's worth like reading?
No, not really.
Okay. If you're interested in the technical part, you guys can come here and check this out, or just stare at these images like I have. This is just
oh, pretty.
It's so pretty. Now here's I have before we end, I have 2 questions. First off, is this only in this terrain type? Because every single one of these pictures
is very deserty. Well, that
mostly.
Middle one, I was actually thinking about this. That middle one's got more of a grasslands look going on.
That is true.
Like, especially right there in the center, that looks a lot like we see in the grasslands right now.
Mm-hmm. That is true.
And then the one up above, I would assume, would be more of a deserty kind of a feel, because that looks more deserty. So I don't know. I mean, if you actually click on that 207, you see that they still have a lot of, like, in that first big picture that they have is, tons of, they're going from deserts to plains to forests.
That is true.
The map.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they still have those in, and we should be getting 4 different biomes.
We have. Yeah,
we have the desert, the plains, the forest, and then we have that red rock desert kind of a thing, don't we?
Right. Yeah.
So at least 4 biomes, possibly more.
Mm-hmm. So that was one question. The other question I've now forgotten. Wonderful. It is important too. Oh, right. My question is this something do you think will be a map setting? Like adjustable? Like will we, because you know how there's water, so. Right?
Yeah.
It would be fantastic if we could have it just like water, just be like cliffs, like a lot or large or
a lot, yeah.
Whatever wording you want to use. But I would love to be able to set that, because just having it be just like without any option, that would be a little bit frustrating.
Yeah, and I'm sure the speedrunners are not going to want to have cliffs.
No, probably not.
So at very least, we're probably going to want the option to turn it off, and ideally it would be great to have options to vary them.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
from crazy or nigh impossible to I mean, that would be kind of cool, right? Because we got all these really cool mods out there that will create like the spiral terrain and stuff like that. Theoretically, that's all possible to do within this game. So you have to tech up to a certain point where you're no longer constricted so much,
right?
So as long as the game could make it so that there's always a way to get out, even if it's way really far that you have to go. You can kind of have an early to mid game constraint,
right?
That'd be kind of fun.
Now, looking at these, they seem to all pretty much be the same height.
Yeah,
and I think that's probably just a graphic. I mean, they'd have to create like a bajillion graphics with different heights to make it multiple heights, but
yeah, except on the edges.
Yeah, on the edges. But that would be really cool if there was an option to like say like how big they were like height wise, because I love like almost a mountain, not a mountain, but like have some of these cliffs be like maybe 2 or 3 times really the height that we see here.
That would be cool,
just for that variation. But I can imagine that would be pretty hard.
So do you think we're going to get flyers now? We have biters and spitters. And if we have the ability to keep them at bay from a cliff, are we going to get flyers that can just fly up to the cliff?
I wonder. You never know. I mean, they could spring it. We didn't know we were getting cliffs.
Yep. Let us know in the comments. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Are we
seriously.
gonna get flyers or not?
What do you think? I mean, do you guys want flyers? I personally think they may not, just because they've said so many times that like the combat side of things is like really not part of the focus of the game.
The point, yeah. Well, and let's be honest, it's one of the biggest irritations, right? I mean, there's a lot of people who just turn the biters off entirely.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a reason why they changed the purple packs to not require killing the biters any longer, because it was yeah. I mean, it's a game about automation, but I don't know. The sadistic portion of me has always kind of wanted biters and swimmers and flyers and burrowers and
Oh yeah. I mean, I can
million ways to die.
Yeah, a million ways to die. Different challenges. I mean, I don't think flyers would be cool, like for sure. I don't think they're needed though, just because we have spitters. Like if we only had biters, this would just you would need another type where you could just defend infinitely, right? Like they would never be able to damage the turrets. But with spitters, they can shoot the turrets like up the cliff.
Right. Well, I was thinking more along the lines of if you have a cliff and you assume that you don't have to defend the cliff now, right? Because nothing can get through it. So everything's going to walk around the cliff. Well, what if you had flyers? They can fly on top of the cliff and then attack you from the rear.
That is
while
very
the biters
true.
are going around over to and getting squashed by your laser turrets.
That is a good point.
It's probably a good thing I'm not a dev, huh?
Probably. It would be a very painful game. That actually brings up one more point, though, is how is this going to affect game performance, and tied to that, biter pathing? Because the thing is, right, with walls, the biters won't like you can't create choke points or mazes really with walls, because the biters will just attack the walls because they can actually damage them. But like you said, with a cliff, right, is you could just have no defenses or anything except on the little entrance to the cliff. Points. So and it's like the biters can't damage the cliff.
Probably treat them like they treat water right now, would be my guess.
Probably. I would, that would be true. I'm just wondering like how the Pathfinder is going to work with it, and if that's going to like have an impact on game performance. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting. Yeah, probably will just act like water, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah. But I think that's it. These are just awesome pictures. I love this. I can't wait. I will get 016 soon. This was pretty much as good as in artillery wagon teaser.
Oh yeah.
And I think, do you have any other thing else to add?
Nope. Although I did just think of another type of biter, bombers, where they run up to your cliff and explode, destroyed your cliff.
Oh my gosh. That would actually be like hilarious, but really, really annoying if you've built like really important buildings on the edge and they just come up and blow it up.
That's Battle of Helm's Deep stuff right there.
Oh yeah.
I'll shut up right now because I'm just gonna ruin the game.
I'm glad you're not a mod creator either. All right, that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching. Let us know down below what you think of all this, if you're excited as we are. And until next time, we will talk to you later.
Take care.